welcome to the Game Buzz. I'm Matt. I'm joined once again by Jonathan Lester
Hi there.
and by Carl Phillips.
Hello.
And there are a lot of topics that have really been sort of circulating and raging this week. SimCity is one of them, but we are going to get to that tomorrow in the Pwnecast. Still formulating a lot of our thoughts on that. That'll all come in tomorrow's podcast. I want to kick off today, though. There's been a lot of love. There's been a big fat PS4 loving coming from devs and pubs and just everyone.
In the case of one specific developer, like actual physical arousal.
I know he does get easily aroused.
Yeah, Suda's so horny. Suda horny for the PS4. It's terrifying. But yeah, developers have been queuing up to praise the PS4, to praise its architecture, especially to praise its 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
Because they've been having to really struggle with 512 meg. And now to have 16 times more, I mean, it's just freed up studios to really go to town. And yeah, they're loving it. They have nothing but praise for the PS4 at the moment.
And a lot of the reasons that they're excited for it are reasons that we expressed excitement for in the wake of Sony's presentation last month. Start with like Suda, the cloud delivery. We've talked about this a little bit. Like we're so up for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm actually got a rock on just thinking about it, but like game designers are really excited about this. The ability to sort of sync content between multiple devices, to experience games on multiple devices. It's one of the coolest things about the whole PlayStation 4 brand. So I can't wait to see what people start doing with it.
It was quite an interesting comment from Avalanche suggesting that the PS4 will outpower most PCs for years to come. And like a lot of the PC-centric crowd have been quite vocal, saying, "Next gen." We've had next gen for 2 years already on PC. Although it's important to remember what consoles are for. They're instantly accessible, instantly you plug in, you play, job done. And obviously, like we're hoping that the price point will reflect sort of an optimized gaming platform. That will provide a benchmark for developers to sort of innovate around for years to come.
Exactly, and more to the point, Avalanche is totally right, because most PCs will be completely outstripped by the PS4. Most PCs still have integrated graphics. Most PCs are designed to be workstations. So the point he's making is that unless you're a dedicated hardcore PC gamer who upgrades or takes a huge amount of pride and effort in maintaining the latest piece of gaming tech. Yeah, the PS4 is absolutely going to outstrip most PCs. And because it's built like one, it's going to mean that, as you say, developers can optimize all of their games much better without having to worry about the almost infinite array of different hardware combinations that you can get on PC.
Obviously, Microsoft have been quite quiet. Microsoft's been very quiet, aside from sort of furiously scrabbling together for this rumoured April blowout. And Jonathan Blow was one of the surprise sort of people that bounded on stage with Sony. He said this week that it's been quite well documented, his bad time working with Microsoft in the past. And he said that in his eyes, Durango is shaping up to be, as sort of the Xbox has kind of come and their sort of promotional material has outlined, the Durango is going to be far more media-centric, kind of a one-stop for everything entertainment, whereas Sony, certainly from that presentation, very much focused on gaming, games, the gamer experience, and I think this is something that Microsoft's been criticised for. Like when we analysed the sort of slam comments that came a few weeks ago, with people calling Microsoft out and saying, "Look, you're abandoning your hardcore audience." How important do you reckon that's going to be going into next gen?
Quite important. I mean, the fact is, this is already happening now. Microsoft is desperately trying to turn the Xbox 360 into an entertainment center, for better or for worse. For us hardcore gamers, it's worse. But for a lot of people, that extra functionality, the fact that you're going to use it much like you do a set-top box, that is going to be a selling point. Microsoft has Skype. Kinect is probably going to be part of the experience. So, sort of living room teleconferencing, that could be quite a laugh. They're going to have a whole raft of services. And I think in many ways, yeah, the Xbox is going to be about the service, and the PS4 is going to be more of a dedicated game center. I don't know how that's going to translate into sales hugely. And luckily that's not my job. So I think that what I would say though is that both of these consoles are almost certainly going to be supercharged PCs, to coin the phrase. Like the PS4 we know is basically an x86 PC. The Durango will likely be something similar. So that being true, it is kind of all going to come down to A, the console services that it can provide, and B, those exclusives, because those will now be the only things that set the two consoles apart, because otherwise they're basically PCs. I mean, they'll be able to play most anything that developers want to put on it. Like we're going to see,
I think to a certain extent that's why Sony focused so much on the games in their presentation. I think it was one of the things we said was really, really good about the presentation. I mean, we would have liked to have seen more of them, but to be honest, it was really sort of almost a teaser a very long teaser trailer for E3.
Yeah, and who'd have thunk it? Putting knowledgeable people on stage to talk about the stuff they made actually works.
We like
what
that.
A great idea.
Who'd have thunk what it? We want. I agree. I think, and actually, Carl, you and I have talked about a little bit this week about the importance of communication. I mean, chatting about SimCity, we've been talking about the importance of getting communication right, and I think Sony really nailed that. And I think Microsoft have dropped the ball in that, massively been dropping the ball in that department for a while, because both the PS3 and the Xbox are already, as you said, John, media hubs. It's just Sony are communicating or have communicated the unique sort of gameplay and development opportunities, and Microsoft really need to prioritize that again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. With the exception of the Blu-ray player, which was always one of the main reasons to get a PS3, other than the games, it was all about the games. You didn't buy it to play Netflix, let's say. I mean, yes, okay, that was one of the things that always amused me about the watching the presentation. They had to bring up, it's the #1 device for Netflix, which it is, and that's great. And Netflix is awesome, but I didn't buy a console just to play Netflix or get streaming TV or anything like that. I bought it for the games. And with Sony coming out and saying, yes, this is for the games, it will have all the gamers flock to it. And then the extra services that they bring on, like Netflix, or if they do have a Skype component or whatever, will be there, and they can expand out that way. But they are focusing on the games, whereas Microsoft seems to be going for the Wii demographic of basically, like you say, just pure entertainment. And I think it will be harder for them to get back the gaming demographic if they go in that direction. I mean, look at what's happened with the Wii U and the Wii. It's been harder to convince certain portions of gamers to give it a go because they don't see it necessarily as a gaming device, even though it is.
Actually, the Wii U is not an entertainment center at all. Like, we still don't have TV over here. They haven't communicated any of that. It's not an entertainment at all. The Wii U is a pure gaming machine, and that's it. Well, I would say that's how it's marketed, except they didn't market it at all.
Exactly. This is my point, that people don't know about it. So Sony have gone out of the door and said, yes, this is a gaming device. This is what we're doing, and they've communicated their intentions incredibly well. Whereas, as we've said, Nintendo necessarily haven't. So, yeah, I think Microsoft needs to make some noise, which is what we said after the Sony presentation. They need to get out there and start talking.
Yeah, communication is really going to be key. Like this week has just made that an absolute focus for games, for consoles, for everything. Like, communication needs to be clear. Nintendo came out and said, yeah, we dropped the ball on that one. Microsoft haven't admitted this, but they are seriously dropping the ball, and they need to sort that out if they're going to have any hope of really competing in next gen. And I want to come on to another sort of next gen object, I suppose, this week. The Piston's been in the news. That sort of Xi3. We thought it was a
Yeah,
Steam box.
the teeny tiny modular PC that is designed around big picture.
Yeah.
And that is a Steam box, but it's not the Steam box. And now Valve want to distance themselves as far as possible from it, even though it was created in part thanks to an investment from them.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a strange situation, that one, because, you know, the Xi3 sort of was announced. Well, the Piston, Xi3 had been around for a while, but the Piston was announced, and they were saying, yeah, Valve, we and Valve are totally tight. And Valve were like, yeah, we're all about the third-party Steam boxes. Steam boxes are happening. And now they're saying, nah, there's one Steam box. All these other Steam boxes are just imitating our Steam box. We have
the real
nothing
Steam
to
box,
do.
please stand
up. That's our Steam box. Not that. That's not a Steam box. We don't know. Who are you? And they're
That's not a Steam box. This is a
you
knife.
gave us your money and blessing. And Newell's like, I do not know you.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I wanted the because again, there seems to have been a little bit of confusion over communication here. I mean, what is the Piston for? It looks really cool. It's very tiny. That video came out, and then they announced the pricing at $1,000 in terms of dollars, and a lot of the comments around it, a lot of the sort of vocal feedback's been $1,000.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, almost every comment I've seen about that has been, this is crazy expensive. And it's not cheap. I'll give you that. But I at the risk of just like shamelessly trolling and playing devil's advocate here, I'm not sure that price is actually too bad.
Well, it depends
Like
what you're talking about.
$1,000 will get you, which isn't £1,000, first of all, although it might be, considering that exchange rates often just disappear into magical, insane formula and have no bearing on reality when it comes to technology. For like sort of 680 quid, you're getting a pretty decent PC. You're getting a Southern Islands processor. You're getting an SSD. You're getting I think, is it Core i5 or Core i7? It's pretty decent, whatever it is. You're getting 8 gigs of RAM, and you're getting all of that stuff in a tiny, tiny box. Like, you're getting all that stuff in a box that is its biggest dimension is its height at 4 inches, basically. Like, that is miraculous, getting all that tech into a box that size. And getting all that for less than the price of something like an Alienware X51 that, it will give you probably better performance, but at the cost of, several hundred extra pounds. And there's something that's ready to just sling under your PC and plug straight in. I think that price is pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's a bit of a novelty, but the fact that you're also going to get a lot more traditional PC functionality out of it than perhaps you'll get with the low range and the medium range Steam box, which are heavily tipped to almost be like either set-top boxes, streaming devices, or a sort of stripped down console, essentially, means that there's a bit of value to be found there. Even though, of course, you're going to have to probably plug in an external hard drive.
I think you touched on it a little bit there. I think it comes back to communication. I mean, when the word Steambox rang out, we all thought Valve is making a sort of console equivalent. And if you think of the words console equivalent, you think of equivalent pricing there. And so when people are looking at the Piston, they're not perhaps necessarily seeing a small form factor PC, which it is. It's going to run Windows. It's going to run Linux. It is basically an extremely small form factor PC. They're seeing, or rather, we kind of expected almost small form factor, big picture games PC console.
And that's exactly what it is.
But for $1,000.
But you're also getting that PC functionality as well. They're I think actually maybe this sort of distancing themselves from Valve a little bit may even help, so long as they keep saying, look, you're getting a PC and it's super easy to just sling under your PC and it does all the business, and it's not that expensive compared to what you'll shell out for an Origin.
You can upgrade an Origin.
You can upgrade a piston. They're designed to be fully modular.
Cole,
That's
what do
the
you
whole
make of the
point. That's
piston?
the Xi3. That's what the Xi3 architecture is built around. Although, don't get me wrong. I mean, you can't exactly use off-the-shelf components.
No. Cole,
No.
what do you make of the piston?
It's a stacked up tablet, basically. Components. You've seen how thin tablets are. You know, all the power. Take the Razer. It's basically all the components of that without a screen stacked up. They've even shown it. It's basically a motherboard, like chopped into 3, stacked up on top of each other. So I'm not really surprised that it's that small or it costs £1,000 because that's how much the Razer does. It's nothing new, really, if you think about it.
Do we want one? Do you guys want one?
Do I want a static tablet? No. Not really.
Well, it's more than it's more and less than a tablet because it doesn't have a screen, and it's not. It's designed to be. It is designed to be a sort of PC hub in your living room that's teeny tiny, and maybe you can take to a mate's house and you can throw it, play throwy catchy with it, play hacky sack with it, and put your drinks on it and balance your Ouya on it. I don't think it's. I think the price makes sense because it's, as you say, the same as a Razer and perhaps the same as a Surface Pro. But I think it's a novelty and well priced for what it is. But I don't want one. Yeah,
why get that when I've got my PC, which is more powerful than it.
Substantially
more powerful. I can get myself one of the apparently cheap-ass Steam boxes, put it by my TV, stream, done.
Yep.
You mentioned the Ouya. Let's touch on the Ouya a bit, because it's going to launch, apparently, without some features on March 28th. Is that, it's going to launch without online chat and friends lists, although multiplayer will apparently be up and running.
Yeah. Well, that's the big one. But then again, multiplayer without... It's a shame about friends lists. Especially since, a lot of people who've kickstarted the Ouya are already talking about it and getting ready to sort of hang out online with it and test it together. So I think it's a bit of a shame that friends lists aren't in. But otherwise, I mean, I don't think it's a huge problem, personally.
You see, this week of all weeks has made me very cross with people releasing things that are unfinished. That should be finished.
What could that possibly be, Matt?
It might have something to do with SimCity essentially being a glorified beta. But I want clarity. If we've said this time and time again, if something needs extra time, give it extra time. Then again, the Ouya, to a certain extent, is a rather experimental console, and the idea of getting it out in the public, getting it out there, getting developers and a community involved and experimenting with it and modding it, because that's the whole point, is that it's really open, is arguably more important.
Yeah, it's better to just avoid another delay. I don't care enough about friends list to have to wait even longer for the Ouya that's been delayed that's been delayed already. So let's just have it. I don't care enough about friends list. I don't care enough about my friends to play it. And my friends, I can just I assume find out what their Ouya online handle is anyway. You guys will have one. I can just ask you what it is. Plug it in, so that should be fine anyway.
I'm not getting an Ouya.
You're not getting an Ouya?
Don't really see the point. I mean, I don't have a particular hungering for Android games on a larger screen.
Ah, well, in which case, maybe you'll have a hungering for Android games on a smaller screen. And the ability to stream PC games directly.
John, give it up.
Nobody wants Shield either. No.
Yes, but it's so easy to troll. I love it. I could do it for hours.
Okay, well let's avoid the troll bridge and move on to a couple of game-related news this week. Tripwire, the guys behind Red Orchestra, that quite hardcore, quite innovative. Gritty and realistic FPS. Oh shit! I used the word gritty. No. But you get the idea.
Yeah, it's quite gritty. Yeah.
The CEO, the president John Gibson came out this week and with a rather controversial statement saying that Call of Duty's almost ruined an entire generation of first-person shooter players. Do we agree with that? I mean, Call of Duty, in its ubiquity, it's the most popular entertainment franchise there is across mediums. Um,
Yeah,
so much so.
Last year, Black Ops 2 was the biggest selling entertainment property in the UK. That includes films, albums, everything.
You see, my view on it is not necessarily that it's ruined an entire generation of FPS players. My beef is more because I don't think there's nothing wrong with Call of Duty being Call of Duty. We all need Call of Duty. People love Call of Duty. It sells so well because people want Call of Duty. My beef is when games try a little too hard to just be like, oh, we'll just make it like Call of Duty. That'll be fine.
I agree.
I don't want clones. We don't want clones. We want.
Well, the thing is, anything popular gets copied a lot. Like this even happens. Doesn't just happen with Call of Duty. It happens with even on the tiny scale. It happens in the indie scene. It happens with things like Minecraft. It happens with not just games but even art styles and things like that. So it's a shame that a lot of games have been mediocred by trying to be like Call of Duty. But on the other hand, I don't think it's fair to suggest that it's somehow ruined an entire generation of gamers who know what they like and enjoy playing a game that, let's be frank about this, was actually very innovative when it kicked off at the start of this generation. Modern Warfare just brought a load of really great stuff to the multiplayer FPS genre, and it actually added a lot more depth to the experience than things we'd come to expect from earlier FPSs. It brought in kill streaks, it brought in really, really in-depth customization to allow for loads of different play styles. So I don't think it's hugely fair to say that it's ruined people, and you know what, you can ignore it if you don't like it.
Agreed. I mean, I think. This is to echo something that the Brothers developer Joseph Fares said the other day when I chatted to him. Like we just need all sorts of games.
Yeah.
Like big, small, blockbusters, so sort of more open, experimental titles in every single genre. We just need more. We just need more people getting involved and making their games.
Yeah, we do.
And hopefully, as platforms open up, as we see more routes to market, that'll just keep happening because it is already happening. So yeah, I don't think we can have too much of a beef with Call of Duty. Call of Duty will always be what it is, and that's okay. That's absolutely
so long as they come up with a new engine this year.
Yeah, that would be nice.
A totally new engine, like Nodded Tech 4, a very, very modified variant thereof. That would be lovely.
Well, another big topic has been this God of War Ascension trophy.
The Bros before hose gates.
Yes.
Yes. Let's just slightly discuss what the original problem was. There is an achievement that pops up after you stomp a female boss to death and then crush her face in, that says Bros before hose. And now look, it's clear that Sony Santa Monica didn't intend any disrespect or insult or misogyny by this. It's clear that they were, just coming up with achievement names and they thought, oh, Bros before hose, that's pretty funny. Right, let's go gold. They didn't set out to offend anyone. That's patently obvious. But they should have thought about it a bit more because there aren't a huge number of female antagonists or even characters really in the God of War series, and to stamp on somebody's face and be given no choice of brutalizing this boss, and then to be told, yeah, nice one, bro, you stomped on a face. Some people might find that offensive.
Yeah,
you should have thought about that. And more to the point, I think as well, really, it's just a dumb name. Take all that out of the equation. It's just really dumb. She's not a hoe. What bros are you putting before the... How it doesn't even make sense, and it just jerks you out of what little sort of sense of dark fantasy immersion it's trying to create. So, yeah, change its name. They've changed it to Bros Before Foes now, which is equally stupid. But nowhere near as potentially insulting. And I don't want to go on too much about this. I have put a comment up, but I feel that it is absolutely possible to understand why people might have been offended about this, even if you're not yourself. And for the record, I don't really care.
No, it's one of those things that like people got offended by it. I think I disagree flagrantly with the people getting offended about people getting offended by it because
Oh
quite
yeah, come
frankly,
on.
like I like if you've got an artistic reason for including something controversial in your game, fair enough. But the ease with which sort of Santa Monica rolled over and just said, "Oh no, we'll change that." Like
Yeah,
it's
they knew
clearly not
this
in
was
there
not.
for artistic reasons.
Yeah.
It's clearly they just didn't really think about it. So yeah,
Yeah. More to the point as well, like you've got to start thinking about your achievements now and what they mean. I mean, looking back over things, there was that bizarre achievement in Red Dead Redemption that makes you randomly tie a woman up and throw her on the train track. That's kind of fun, but it also doesn't hugely fit thematically in a game where John Marsden actually treats every woman he meets with respect in the game. That didn't make any sense there. You've got that achievement in Call of Juarez, the cartel, which awarded you for killing everyone in a level. And that was the only level in the game where every single enemy was black.
yeah.
Like that, there was clearly no malice intended there. There was clearly nothing. These were just, they thought, let's just name these achievements and knock off early. But you've got to think about what they mean. They speak directly to players. You are telling players something, and more to the point, you are rewarding them for doing something. And developers really have to think about what that means and what they do about that going forward.
One little final thing. America McGee took to Facebook this week, asking, well, essentially, putting the feelers out to put the feelers out for a Kickstarter that would financially put the feelers out for Alice 3. If he can get the rights back from a company he may have slagged off a little bit earlier in the year.
Yeah. Oh, Alice. Well, that's a pretty big if, first of all, let's face it. I mean, it takes, just look how long it took for EA to let go of System Shock 2, for example. It took them years and years and years to just let go of a single IP that was dormant and they didn't use anymore. Even if they release Alice back to him, I don't know. I personally feel that the series has always been a bit more about sort of style over substance. I like the original Alice well enough, but when I started replaying it, I thought, I don't know, maybe it was just the fact that it was new and exciting kind of, I don't know, kind of overrode my normal standards while playing it. And even so, it's a masterpiece compared to Alice Madness Returns, which was one of just crushingly mediocre. So, and it showed that he was just willing to really offer nothing new in the way of innovative gameplay, just create a very boring, very, very padded hack and slash game. That just had some nice window dressing and that didn't use the setting to advantage, didn't really use the characters particularly well, had some of the worst boss battles ever.
I'll tell you what I'd like to
know.
see. I'll tell you what I would like to see. I'd like to see, of course, you need a fat budget for this, but I'd like to see it opened up because that was always my criticism of the Alice in Wonderland games, or the two that there are, is that we don't get to explore enough of America McGee's Wonderland, and that's the star of the show. Like, because on the one hand, you've either got to kind of just say, American McGee, look, just make the movie you really want to make, or because the gameplay opportunities in both of those games were repetitive, so very repetitive, and as you say, just mediocre and banal to the extreme, and either just remove the gameplay completely and make it this artistically wonderful, this aesthetically brilliant sort of moving picture, or open up the gameplay completely.
Yeah, just let us explore it. It's like you've said, Wonderland is just window dressing. Wonderland is basically a skybox.
Yeah.
Like once you get past that, you're looking everywhere and going, wow, what an amazing place. But that all exists outside of the gameplay. Like what Wonderland really is just a collection of arenas linked together by square corridors, populated by the same enemies over and over and over again. So yeah, like if enough people love Alice, like The whole point about Kickstarter is don't ask us if we want it. Find out if we want it.
Come up with
You
a
heard
good
it on
idea.
Kickstarter. Put your money where your mouth is. Come up with a good idea. Stick it on Kickstarter, and then we'll tell you if we want it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Actually, one last quick thing before we go. John, you
Yes.
you got stuck into a game that we've had our eyes on for some time this week. You know, the
Yes.
demo came out. You were so
Mhm.
excited. It was going to be really awesome. Army of Two is coming back. We are the only people excited for that game.
I'm not
realised
anymore.
Oh, really?
Well, I think if you look back at my posting history surrounding Army of Two, you may notice a few little interesting articles, such as why Army of Two, the Devil's Cartel, is doomed to fail, and things like that. But that arguably should have been a giveaway that perhaps I'm not super psyched about Army of Two, the Devil's Cartel. But I really like Army of Two, and that demo is just, it is so offensively dull that I have trouble playing it. I got a migraine, I got headaches, I got this physical compulsion to get up and do or play or look at something else. Like at one point I was genuinely considering booting up the original Quake just to have something interesting and exciting to look at in comparison. It was shocking piece of demo. Like there's some fun, are a couple of fun little mechanics in there. I personally think that the controls are a little more syrupy than they used to be, and I think it's a little bit heavier. It looks pretty, it doesn't look like a Frostbite powered title, but on the other hand, there's lots of the destruction is very cool. I will give it that. When you're hiding behind cover and it's being constantly chipped away by incoming bullets, that is actually quite awesome. But
new.
No, exactly. And the problem is, I'm fast wondering what exactly Army of, the Devil's Cartel's unique hook is, what its unique thing is, because it's not co-op anymore.
Oh, apparently
like Gears of War Judgment is. Gears of War Judgment is coming out. Apparently, funny story. Games have co-op now. Like they always had co-op, then they kind of didn't for a while. Now they do again.
Nah.
It's not enough to just be, as I have said and you have said and everyone has said, TWO stands for Trans World Operations. They could go anywhere in the world, and yet they've decided to create another brown shooter set in brown land. I really want to like it, because I like Army of Two despite all of its flaws, every single one of its flaws. But this, I don't know, I think they might have just taken it a game too far here. Anyway, go try out that demo. And see if you can just withstand the sort of, just the weaponized brown in that demo. Just the sheer lack of any artistic flair or any interesting design. It's devoid of anything good, anything remotely worthwhile.
It might get more colourful in the full game. We don't know. They haven't sent us a copy yet. It's out towards the end of the month. It's out on the same day as a much more colourful game that's looking really nice.
Yeah, as I said in the previous podcast, I can't wait to see what a game that's willing to run against BioShock Infinite plans on bringing to the table. Whether Visceral and EA think this is going to be the Infinite killer. This is it. BioShock Infinite, like people started getting less excited about that. We took the initiative. We got out there. We put out that fucking shit trailer with a load of like skaters in it. So here we go. Here it is. We are going to dethrone Irrational, or more likely they thought, oh my God, when can we put this out where there's the biggest likelihood of nobody noticing it?
I know. We're not going to end on that. Like, that's a little too depressing. But we will end on a little bit of a teaser, because one or two people did message in after last week's podcasts where we asked you to send us some suggestions for Carl to rap about this week, and yeah, we had one or two suggestions, and Carl will be rapping. The Viceroy, which is his MC name, will be rapping tomorrow. Is that correct, Carl?
Yeah, it's happened. It's definitely a thing. It's It's going to be.
I believe
You don't sound terribly enthused, Carl. I've heard it. It's awesome.
Carl's
yeah,
a rap professional.
Yes.
I exuded so much energy into it that I'm just drained. I'm just so drained. You've got to listen, basically.
It's going to be great. Guys, we will catch you tomorrow. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. We'll see you for the Pwnecast on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.